Hello everyone, this is Agony333, and this is Requiem for a Dream. Now this review may get emotional, I don't fucking know, but this movie is highly fucking emotional, that's for sure, because last time we covered Grave of the Fireflies, which is pretty much one of the saddest movies I've ever seen, but this one is easily another one. Here is the cover for you to see. It was made in the year 2000. It is an hour and 42 minutes, and it is rated R. And basically, what this film is about is it centers on four different characters. And it's Harry, his mother Sarah, Harry's best friend Tyrone, and then Harry's girlfriend Marion. And they basically all have dreams, goals, visions for the future in their lives. And it's basically about them trying to attain their dreams, their goals, those futures. But things don't end up working out so well for them in this film. It's it's another one that I would say is in that subgenre that I had mentioned last time in the last review, which is films that seem to center, that are on disturbing lists, and they center more so in a depressing kind of category rather than blood, gore, and violence and things like that. They're more so depressing. This one is highly depressing, but let me see what I can cover before having to get into the spoilers. Let me see here. Oh, I'll say that the soundtrack for this does very well to lend itself to that sad atmosphere, and it's just really well done. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that one. And this film also shows throughout it, I'll have to maybe touch on this a little bit more in spoilers, but it kind of, a big theme of this movie is addiction. That's one thing I should say. Because when it comes to them trying to attain their goals, a lot of it centers on addiction and things like that. Because, for instance, the goals, I should probably actually fucking mention those instead of just keeping them so fucking vague. But the dreams that they have. Well, Marion, she would like to basically open up a clothing store. She does sketches and designs for clothing and things like that. And so her dream would be to open up a store. And Harry would like to basically join her with that. But obviously, things of that nature require quite a bit of fucking funding, as all things do. And then, Tyrone, on the other hand, he basically just wants success for, he always wanted success. He wants a happy, good life. Really, all they want is a happy, good life. And Sarah, the mother of Harry or whatever, she really just wants, I guess, the fame and recognition because she's basically completely alone and everything else. And her life didn't work out so very well. But yeah, they each have kind of their own paths that they want to achieve, which in a way are all similar because they all essentially just want happiness. They're not happy where they are. And the problem lies, though, like I said, the addiction thing, it's the means that they use to try to get those goals. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm kind of skipping along in these fucking notes. This is the way I wrote them this time. Where the fuck did I put this son of a bitch? Okay, yeah. And that's what I'll say is the shortcuts, they're bad. They use bad shortcuts to try to attain their goals and their dreams, and that's what ends up causing a lot of the drama of this film is, yeah, the ways they went to attain those dreams, which for Harry and Tyrone is drugs. They decide to start selling drugs as well as using drugs. Marion ends up using drugs too. And Sarah, who wants to basically, the mother, the grandmother, she's an elder woman, she basically wants to get on television, and so she starts going to her doctor and taking medication in order to lose weight to look appealing for this show and to be able to, yeah, look nice and presentable and everything else. and she ends up getting hooked on this medication that this scumbag fucking doctor decided to give to her. And yeah, it gets pretty sad though, because as I'll go through these notes to try to kind of explain, but basically it does something similar to what the last film I reviewed did, and it is where you basically see a gradual decline. It just slowly, gradually, you get to just see them slowly spiral downward. And that's what's also very difficult about watching this film. And that's one thing I'll say, is if you're looking for disturbing, I will say this one is, at least for me, a disturbing fucking film. The first time I watched it, oh man, it was every time I've ever watched this film, even when I watched it for this review. This is one note thing I put here, is it never ceases to darken my day and mood, because it doesn't. I mean, I could literally have the brightest, sunniest, fucking nicest day ever, and when I watch this movie, it turns to nothing but fucking gloom. I gotta tell you, this movie, it does the job. It's pretty much, at least to me, if not the saddest movie I've ever watched. It's like I said, with in comparison to the last film I reviewed, it's one of the saddest films ever, and it's to a point that, at least for me, when I watch this, I can physically feel it. Like I said, it will darken the mood of the day. It puts me in such a downer kind of mood, and so, but that also goes to show the power of this film, that it's done so well that it has that kind of power to be able to do things like that and make you feel that way. It's successful. Let me see what other notes I could get to, because then I'm going to be getting into the spoilers for those of you who have already watched this, or just want to, I guess, hear about other things pertaining to the actual situations in this fucking film. But yeah, instead of things getting better, things end up getting worse. And I think I've basically covered all of the things before spoiler territory. I believe I have. But what I ended up settling on is, if I had done this review, because yeah, I first viewed this film back in high school, and well, that's one thing I guess I will say, is back when I had first watched this film and showed it to some friends, and we all liked it and stuff. I had joked around saying that DARE program and other things, like if anyone wanted to get people to not do drugs, show them this fucking movie. I had joked around about showing the kids this movie. Don't ever show any fucking, yeah, don't show a kid this movie. This movie's obviously rated R. But the point is, if you want to freak somebody out when it comes to those things, show them this fucking movie. It should do the job, I would say. Fuck you, pack of cigarettes. But yeah, that's another thing I had joked about when I had first watched it. Highly impactful, and I highly recommend it for those who are looking for something disturbing, something emotional, something that's well acted. Because another thing I should mention is Jared Leto is in this, and really all of the cast give great performances. But Jared Leto on this is good, and I don't really give a shit when anybody says fuck them. He was fine as Joker. And Suicide Squad, I don't really give a shit what anybody says. I know a lot of people didn't really care for his performance, but this movie to me proves that he's a good actor and that he can do those things. So, fuck opinions, anyways. But yeah, highly recommend this movie. Great acting, good music, highly emotional, very well done. And the score I was going to give it was like an 8, leaning toward an 8.5. I'd almost considered giving it something higher, but after giving the last review a 10, I don't want to have a consistent where I'm giving all these films that I'm reviewing, oh, they're all fucking 10s and all this shit and being stupid about it. I mean, high ratings like that, at least, weren't too common with my, the reviews and stuff. So I thought an 8 was all right, maybe leaning towards 8.5. It is a solid film. Don't think that that's kind of like low. This is a very good film, and like I said, highly recommend it. But yeah, let's get into fucking spoilers. All right, so oh well, this ain't really a spoiler, but one thing I'll say, and I don't actually hate it, but I think it's fucking funny in a fucking stupid way, as I was gonna put that I hate the fake ass inspirational shit, the infomercials. They're fucking ridiculous as hell. I'll say that much. It's funny as fuck to watch. I don't know. It's absurd as hell. It seems so over the fucking top and ridiculous in this fucking movie. But the first thing I'll say though is that this time viewing it and stuff, and I probably had thoughts like this before. It's been quite a few years since I've watched this film. But I put myself through this misery and had myself have a kind of rough day for you guys and to do this review. But the thing that I'll put here is even early on in the film, like in the very fucking beginning, Sarah is basically oblivious to reality even early on. And by that I mean she's like oblivious because she makes the comment when her television is chained up to like the radiator and stuff because Harry's trying to steal it to go and sell it for money and shit. She's oblivious because she says even that the chain and the padlock is for the robbers, not her son. Whenever he gets pissed off because she chained it to keep it there instead of having to get sold and stolen, she's oblivious to the reality that her own son is the fucking bastard that's robbing her. Obviously, I mean, she knows, but it's like she doesn't seem to understand. And yeah, I don't know. It's kind of sad. I mean, the whole movie is sad, but it basically starts on a kind of sad note and just gets more and more fucking depressing and bleak. But yeah, that was one thing that I noticed is she just seems oblivious to reality from the get-go, and it only seems to get worse over time. The other thing I already talked about their dreams, and yeah, a lot of what's going on in this movie, and I think I've said this in other reviews, other things, because this is a thing that happens a lot, is a lot of all the people in this, and a lot of people in general, just unhappy with themselves, their circumstances, their life, and it's not enough. And like I said, that's the main thing, at least about this film. I mean, it's sad in general for people to feel that way, but in this film and in this circumstance, you see that state push them to what I had said before, bad shortcuts to try to attain their dreams instead of either working hard or, going to legitimate means. They end up taking the bad route. They take bad shortcuts, which don't end up working the fuck out, and ends up causing all this. It's fucking sad. But oh yeah, this was another thing I was going to get into with the whole addiction thing because Sarah's, taking those pills for diet and stuff like that. And a lot of the things it goes to show, even when it comes to her eating and stuff, because, she wants to eat food that tastes good and shit like that instead of cutting calories and all that stuff and dieting and all that shit. It goes to show you how simple vices, simple things easily control us. Take, for instance, this piece of shit that is probably slowly killing me. That's a thing that's all around us. I mean, Hobson is a good rapper. I love his music and shit. Even talks about that. It's a simple, obvious fucking thing that we allow these small fucking things in our lives to control us rather than us being able to control ourselves in that. But it's neat to see that in this film, I guess, as well as, major addictions and smaller addictions. A lot of this film is all about addiction in general. And then, yeah, I mentioned it before, but Sarah wants recognition, to be heard, not invisible anymore, because obviously her life had fallen apart years prior, sadly. Let me see the next note. But yeah, I will say that's one of the hardest parts of watching this film because for me it's always been difficult watching this film. But it's similar to the last movie I reviewed, where slowly seeing everything and everyone deteriorate is what's difficult about watching this movie. Because for me, all four characters are likable, they're funny, they're believable, they're genuine, yeah. And you see them all decline. You see every aspect just decline and come fucking crashing to the floor. And it's fucking terrible to see. The other thing is there's a couple characters here, like the psychiatrist. I fucking hate that bastard. It's just, it's another circumstance. It's like, instead of someone wanting to help just to help, they choose themselves in selfishness. To me, money isn't exactly the root of all evil. To me, selfishness is the root of all evil. And yeah, the asshole psychiatrist in here, instead of actually doing the job that he's supposed to fucking do, he ends up taking the selfish route and exploiting Marion along the way, because that's a thing I should be getting into since we're in the spoiler category. Is yeah, I think I fucked up, didn't I? I didn't say we're getting into spoilers and letting you guys cut off. I apologize. Hopefully you guys cut off way before that. I'm sorry for fucking that one up. Jesus Christ. But anyways, yeah, as Marion continues to get hooked on these drugs that they're all doing, basically, she ends up having to resort to basically prostitution in order to get them more money to buy more drugs. And yeah, the whole dream, the whole thing fails. Instead of Harry and Tyrone building something and with this money and then getting the store that Harry and Marion wanted, that doesn't end up happening. What ends up happening instead is basically them all getting addicted, cutting into their own stuff, things fucking up on the streets and things like that, and them basically just completely losing all the money that they have and becoming desperate as can fucking be. And yeah, everything getting terrible. But Marion ends up taking her own route and gets into that aspect, which, yeah, I mean, all four routes, all four of the, fork in the road, whatever, is fucking terrible, what it ends up being. But I mean, hers in particular, I don't even know, like, it's very hard to say which one of them is the worst fate to have, because they're all so fucking terrible. And yes, as you can tell, the cussing's back. I'm loving that. I decided to, yeah, not give a shit. But let me see here. For me, it's a gradual decline in this film, but the ending was done perfectly. Just like other films like Saw and other things where the music accompanies it and it ramps up that intensity and whatever. For this movie, the music and all of that blends together as for a perfect build up for basically maximum emotional impact and hit for the end. Because yeah, you basically see, like I said, four people that you care about, likable characters, their dreams crushed, their lives shattered, wrecked, and basically given fates worse than death. I mean, you have Harry, who pretty much loses the love of his life. That whole thing is fucking destroyed. And yeah, I'll admit, I mean, Grave of the Fireflies made me shed some tears and shit when I watched it, and so did this one, because these films are like the top tier of darkness here. But I mean, you see his love life get destroyed. You see him basically bedridden and his arms severed due to the addictions and things, and pretty much probably a prison sentence afterwards, I would imagine. So yeah, I mean, that's what you see for him, is pretty much everything's wrecked there. And then in turn, his mother, her situation is you see her basically, get electroshock therapy and stuff, and she's all sorts of strung out, messed with, and pretty much admitted to a yeah, psychiatric place. And so she's completely out of it and gone by this point. So even, one of the last people, if his love life wasn't already destroyed and that's gone, even his mother and all that's gone too. So he's pretty much completely alone in that shit. So then that's the other path. Then you have Tyrone, who ends up pretty much just, he skips his arm severing thing, but he pretty much goes straight to prison alone and is dealing with racism and all this other fucking terrible, horrible shit, and knowing that his dreams of success that he was hoping for, that he had wanted since he was a child. His love life, all that's destroyed too, and he's fucking completely alone. He doesn't even have his best friend there either. And then you have Marion, who's the only one who really got away, and she didn't even get away because really she's completely fucking alone. And now into the middle of all this fucking terrible shit with all these sleaze bags and completely strung out. And I mean, it's just it's a fucking horrible nightmare ending. That's all I can really say to sum it up. I mean, it's the fucking epitome of hell. It's it's hell for all four of them in their own unique way, and it's horrible to fucking see. Very fucking horrible to see. But since I was talking about acting, another thing that I'll mention is I don't know the actor's name, but he was the voice actor for the Spawn animated series. Great voice actor, great actor in general. But he plays a particularly sleazy role in this film. Does a great fucking job at doing that, I'll say. But yeah, I hated the psychiatrist and I hated his fucking character too. But it's just a character. He's a great actor. They're all great actors. But yeah, God, this fucking film assaults the emotions, the senses, and all that stuff. It's a rough fucking movie to watch. But let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to get to because I think there was some other thoughts here other than what I've already touched on here. But yeah, I mean, this is the real deal, at least for me. I mean, when I'm thinking of the saddest movies when it comes to disturbing, this, if that even is a subgenre of kind of like disturbing movies and stuff like that, this is one of those top tier ones that's there. But it's a very great film, and I'd highly recommend this fucking film. But yeah, I think for the moment, that's basically all that I have to really say about it. Oh, actually wrong. I remembered my fucking thought. I finally fucking remembered my thought. And that was that this movie was actually a book before it was a film. And I did check out some of it and stuff. Not the full book. I don't own the full book or anything. But yeah, that's another thing for anybody who, likes this movie or is interested or whatever. Maybe consider checking out the book as well. I'm not sure how what details may be there, what might be more so elaborated on, because a lot of times a book can be better than the movie. I mean, that was the case for the girl with the dragon tattoo. I read that book. To me, the book is way more superior than the film is. That was just another thought I would kind of give there or put in there, is that this was a book before it was a film. But if you're not into books, then you could easily go to this film because it's done its job very well. But I think finally now that is all that I have to say, and that I think I've covered everything. Very, very dark ass film. But I hope that if you guys check it out, that it doesn't darken your day too much, or that you can always wake up the next day and try to forget about how fucking terrible this movie is and things like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, that is one thing I'll say, is that obviously this film goes to show how fucking terrible addiction and things like that are. So, I mean, if you know anybody like that in your life or anything, try to help them in what way you can. Um, you know, Thankfully, I haven't had to see things like that personally in real life, thankfully. Like I said, thankfully, because I could not imagine having to see family members or things like that actually go on. It'd be horrible to live what this film shows. That's for sure. So I definitely say that if you know anybody, do what you can to support, do what you can to help. Because yeah, people in general need help, but in particular, people in situations like this, I would say, need some kind of help getting through incredibly horrible things like this. But I hope that you guys enjoy maybe the movie, the message, things from this, the book or whatever. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review, and maybe this film or any of these things have gotten brought some thought-provoking kind of things there. At least that's why I watch these films, is for the thought-provoking aspects and stuff. But I hope that all of you have a great, wonderful, awesomely amazing, badass fucking day. And this is Agony333, and I'm signing the fuck out. Have an awesome one, guys. Peace.